You're watching Guude. You're watching Guude. Fighting just to save our lives. Got you laughing every night.
Welcome back, everybody. What are you laughing at?
Your countdown. 3, 2, 1.
I didn't know it sounded weird.
I mean, people. Maybe it's just the way it came across because of our mic issue that we were discussing earlier. But it sounded really funny to me. So what's new?
Yeah, I don't have anything to talk about today. I'm out. Nice
So you would be happy to know that officially as of tomorrow, I think it's going to go through. I will have. Yeah, officially as of tomorrow, I'm starting to believe in Santa. I made a decision. I invented him. He's now real, and I believe
you got your kid a fairy garden.
Yes, a fairy garden as well. Like all those things. No, I will officially be getting my golden ticket from the ski hill.
Wait, tell me about that again.
So that was the thing. If I was on the patrol for 2 years,
and they wouldn't count all your years or some shit.
Yeah, they weren't counting all my years.
So what's the golden ticket do?
Get or not? Basically, it just lets me I get a season pass to that ski hill for life, and just that one ski hill. So if I never get back to that one little ski hill in Michigan, like then it's pointless. But I've earned it now, and I got it. And it's funny because one of the reasons why. So a lot of I told you about all the controversy with the patrol and the director and this, that, the other.
Right.
This old patrol director who's in all this trouble. The reason I'm getting it, well, not the reason. I think the new patrol director is a lot more like laxed and understands the way things are supposed to be and trying to make everything right. But the way it made it so easy for me to get is I started on the patrol and took the initial classes with his daughter.
Okay.
She requested her quote unquote golden ticket the other day and was granted it and has done more controversial hours than me. Like she was on leave and not keeping up with her stuff for a lot longer than I was.
Okay.
So the fact that she got it granted to her kind of like made it so that I will definitely.
I'll see. Did you have to bring that up, or did they just look at it?
No. Actually, well, somebody just called me and said that she requested it and she was in my class that I should request it now. Instead of worrying about it happening, because somebody has to put in the request to like the people who run the ski resort to say, hey, these people have made their 20 years or whatever. Put them on the list, like the super list or whatever it is. Because it's not like an actual golden ticket. I was going to put on a list somewhere with management. And so
now, do you still have to make it there every year, or can you skip a year now?
No, now I can completely quit if I wanted to.
Okay. Because I remember every time our marathon comes around, it's like, well, I don't know, because I can't miss the ski thing.
And that's the thing and I still want to keep up my certification, because as long as I keep up the certification, I can. If I ever move back to Michigan, I can go back and patrol again. If I lose that certification, I can't. I'd have to go through an entire like class again in order to. Like,
but if you miss 1 year, do you lose your certification?
Yes, officially, kind of. If you miss a full year and cannot make it up, if you don't recert one of the years, but.
So do you
theoretically,
ski a lot
like
when you're there?
I have not in a little while. No, I've been on an inactive status for the last 2 years. But before that, I would go back and actually do a lot of skiing.
Okay, I've never skied.
It's fun. I'm not sure it's something that you would like.
Wow.
I just don't think it's a sport that'd be up your alley.
Wow.
I'm just being honest.
You call me fat?
I trust me. I've seen a lot of fat people ski. I will tell you that one of the reasons I switched careers and went into nursing is, for one, I hated the job that I was doing, and when I was trying to debate what I should do instead, one of the things that turned me on to the nursing and medical profession in general was the fact that I really liked doing first aid and stuff at the ski hill. I was like, I need to look for something medical. And originally I was going to go for a doctor, and then I ended up going to the nursing route, which I'm very happy I did. But when I first went into my first semester of nursing school, pretty much everybody I dealt with at the hospital during my clinicals was these fat people with ridiculous amount of comorbidities that didn't take care of themselves. And I was like, how is this not the same as like, how did I enjoy doing first aid so much before? And I hate it in this type of, I hated my first semester. I worked on, put you on like geriatric units where you basically just do bed baths and all that stuff, the whole time. And it took me a little bit to think about, and I mean, it makes perfect sense, but on the ski hill, you're dealing with an average of people who are teens, even younger. There's younger people than teens, but let's say your average person is between teens and probably late 40s to early 50s is kind of like your bulk skiers. And ones that are in good enough of shape to move around themselves, be out in the cold, and do the activities of skiing. Right. So I'm not dealing with the people I'm dealing with at the hospital on the ski hill, like, ever.
Right. And you think that's why you hated it?
I think that's why I hated those first couple semesters. Yeah. I actually thought if I had failed a class in my first semester that I had to retake, I said I was quitting. I wasn't going to continue on. I barely passed one of my classes, and that's the reason I ended up becoming a nurse. And now I love being a nurse, because especially when I got into what I wanted to do, which was emergency medicine, I really wanted to do trauma and flight nursing and stuff. But when I got actually to do emergency medicine, granted, it's not all the same. I'd still rather be dealing with, that same crowd I did at the ski hill, because you deal with a lot of old people with comorbidities, fat, obese, not taking care of themselves in the ER, but you also are dealing with, the emergent life-saving, have to do this right this second or you're going to die because you walk to the door, you don't know what to expect type of environment. So when I finally got to the environment that I wanted to be in, I really enjoyed it. I never wanted to work on some of those units I worked on in the first place, though. Working on a geriatric unit at the hospital is like my worst nightmare.
Why?
Never, ever, ever want to do that. I just, dealing with like old people, brittle, can't do anything for themselves, especially a lot of them in our geriatric people are fat with comorbidities and things like that. It's it's not my forte, not the group that I want to work with. Okay. Some people who want to be geriatric nurses, that's what they thrive to be, and more power to them, because that's the exact opposite of what I want to do. Everybody has their kind of desired place to work and population to serve and take care of.
Which area? Let's sleep. Which area of nursing has the least amount of shit? Like literal shit.
The least amount of shit. Well, I mean, everybody shits.
Yeah. So is there any area of nursing where you're not cleaning up human feces?
I would say, especially having just been at the hospital for this, there's a whole different level of nursing when you're dealing with like labor and delivery and babies than there is in any other part of nursing. Because for the most part, you're actually trying to deal with healthy people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who are giving birth.
Right.
Unless you work in the NICU, obviously you're working with, sick babies or whatever for whatever reason. But it's still a whole different type of field of nursing than
right.
I think pretty much anything else. So that's probably where the least amount of shit is, I guess.
Yeah, that's the only I could never work anywhere where there's lots of shit to clean up.
So emergency department wasn't terrible.
Man, emergency sounds scary though. I don't think I could handle emergency because but
that's what I love, man.
There's a lot of blood there, right? That's the other thing. I want the least amount of blood.
Yeah, so you want least amount of blood and least amount of shit? I would say
shit's on the top of the list. But I mean, I would not try
you could be a unit clerk.
A unit clerk? What is that?
A unit clerk, you just like
sounds like
call for consults when they're ordered and things like that. You don't do it. You're not medical.
Yeah, I mean, I would never want to work in the medical industry. Basically, I know that, so it's not like something I would even never try to do.
So I will tell you, I thought that I would hate the act of cleaning up, like vomit, pee,
that too.
Poop. Like when I was going into nursing, I was like, I don't know, because I used to gag when I would clean up my dog's shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I will tell you, it becomes. I don't know. Like I don't like it by any stretch of the imagination, but it's way more tolerable than I ever thought it would be.
I mean, I can understand that. Like when I started working, just doing dishwashing, I'd have a hard time with some stuff. Like the people who fucking
like grease traps.
No, it was more like the people who, because I worked in Texas, and so people would like finish their baked potato and then spend the next 30 minutes putting their fucking chewing tobacco spit right in their baked potato, and some of that shit gets on your hand. I mean, just think about it right now. I'm almost about to fucking gag right now just talking about it. So like that kind of stuff, just I'm not good with. So yeah.
But I mean, some of it you really do just get like, and I don't know if partially it's because you know that you're helping somebody out and that they need the help because they can't do it themselves, or if it's like if there's something else to it, because nobody's ever like, I can't say ever, it definitely does freaking happen. Unfortunately, there's some very rude people who basically almost feel like they're punishing you because they'll get pissed off for whatever reason and just make you like clean their ass. They'll just tell you, "Oh, my ass is dirty." I had very, very large people in the emergency department who were the pushiest and bitchiest people I've ever met, and they would just stand up and like bend over the front of the bed and be like, "You need to clean my ass. I couldn't reach it, and I just took a shit."
God,
and those people pissed me off. Like that was like that actually started to gross me out when I had a couple people that did this, because I'm no longer feeling like in a mood that I'm helping somebody. I'm feeling like you're kind of controlling me. You're doing a power trip almost.
Right.
Because of what my position is to you. But that's very, very, very few and far between.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I took care of my uncle, there was a couple occasions where he basically shit himself in public, and I had to deal with that. And every one of those occasions, like, it was real hard to get through. And I mean, I knew for a fact that I would not do this for a stranger, basically.
Yeah, I mean, if you have done it even for a family member, and see, because I feel like I used to wonder too, like if my parents get old, I mean, they will get old. If my parents get old and I'm the one taking care of them, will I be able to change their diapers and clean up their shit? And now I know that I could do it.
Right.
Whereas before I questioned if I would be able to do it, because of like you said, it was something that I was like, this is going to be like, oh, like that terrible, terrible, terrible thing. I don't know. I just everything changes perspectives. I guess sometimes you realize the things that don't bother you as you once thought that they were going to, and maybe it's not the same for everybody. I had somebody who was a friend of mine who was was asking about this when I was about to start nursing school, and she said that she kind of went through the same thing, and she didn't realize that cleaning up shit and vomit actually didn't bother her at all, but cleaning up urine, her gag almost every time, and she never expected that.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect that either. Honestly, I think I could handle the urine, but I mean, maybe not.
Yep. She said it was just something about it that it was not like, I don't know, the consistency or the feel that she thought it would have when you had like a soaked rag or soaked towel of urine, that it was, for some reason, it just made her gag every time, and she did not expect that to happen.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I found out anything that actually does gross me out 10 times more than I ever thought it would. I've never given anybody an enema.
Oh, that's
but
lucky.
I have definitely given them pills up the pooper.
I feel like pills up the pooper is better than the enema. But as long as they make it to the toilet after the enema, it's okay. I guess. Like,
right. They didn't like chat it all over the room. Oh. So the one thing that I had no idea, and it was the absolute worst thing. I never, ever, 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 ever want to deal with it again. But the problem is you kind of have to in some nursing. I've only had one that was terrible. GI bleeds have the most funky, fucked up smell.
I remember you saying this before.
You will ever smell it in your life. And I had this one guy, I think we had to put in an NG tube on this person because we had to like empty out their stomach, and they had to go because they were having this GI bleed. We had to get everything out of the stomach, and they had to get. So I don't remember exactly what they were doing for this person. I was helping this nurse. It wasn't even my patient. I was helping this nurse put in the NG tube, and this person coughed in the middle of it. Not their fault. And they coughed, and it sprayed all over our faces, all over our scrub. And We had to go get new scrubs. Like, she had to go down to the surgical area and got us both new sets of scrubs from the ones that they use in surgery because we were covered with this GI bleed blood. And the smell stayed on me even after changing and showering for at least a week. All I could do was smell it when I closed my eyes.
God.
And I wanted to vomit every time because it's just this weird smell. Like, if you have a GI bleed, like, stuff's fucked up, and especially GI bleeds that are backing up and coming out your mouth, something's wrong down there. It's not getting through. So it's basically this smell of mixed with, like, digested shit with blood and vomit. It was the most horrendous thing I have ever smelled in my entire life.
Oh, man, that's rough. Yeah, I couldn't. I don't want to work in any profession where this is even a possibility.
Yeah, it's definitely a... There's no question that it is a possibility dealing in the medical industry. Yeah. However, taking care of anybody, you just are more prone to it in the medical industry. I guess that for a while, when I first started being a nurse, I kind of wondered what happened to, like, I assumed like everybody is just sick all the time. And I'm wondering how early it's going to be. I just broke a pick.
I did that last week.
The fortune one.
Oh,
because I wasn't paying attention. Damn it.
Yeah, we're down 2 now between the 2 of us.
Damn, we're gonna have to make some more. I did get those. We got those 3 diamonds, so we can make one more.
Well, yeah, we need to get minions. The thing.
Yeah, the mini books are the difficult ones. Oh shit! What was I?
You wondered about people being sick all the time.
Oh yeah, I was like, I'm gonna die when I'm 45 because obviously that's just what happens. You sometimes forget that you're surrounded by sick people. People are at the hospital because they're sick. That everybody in the world is not sick that young. Like, you just get this skewed version of reality of how often people get sick and how sick these people actually get because it was.
I'm sure you have a much better immune system as a result.
Probably just because I've been exposed to so much more. I've always had a pretty decent immune system, though. I was not somebody who got, like, when I was a little kid, I used to get like bronchitis and like asthma and pneumonia. Not that you catch asthma, but I when I was a younger kid, I was sick with that type of stuff a lot, and then I kind of. Once I hit middle school and on, I like never got sick again. I don't know if I just like
I've never got. Everyone talks about con flu. I've never left a convention and gotten sick ever. I don't know if it's because I wash my hands and be conscious about that type of stuff.
Conventions didn't get sick. I lose my voice.
You lose your voice strangely every time you go anywhere. I don't understand that.
I'm usually not sick though, because I usually hang out and I'm getting wasted with you guys. Like, even without sick.
Yeah.
I lose my voice. And I think part of it is because I drink ridiculous amounts of alcohol with some of you guys when I'm there sometimes, which I don't know why, because I drink, there's occasions, I drink ridiculous amounts of alcohol at home as well, and I've never lost my voice because I drank, like, when I was like, you came over for New Year's that one year, and we weren't, I don't know how we stood. We were so wasted. And the next day, by like noon, I was fine. Like, nothing was wrong. So I don't know what it is that makes me lose my voice. Maybe I decide that I need to be like the center of attention, and whereas someplace else I'm just like, hey, blah blah blah. No, there at conventions I'm like, we are drinking together, people. Look at me, we are drinking with buddies. I have no idea what it is. But yeah, I don't get, and I never use hand sanitizer. I never.
I don't use hand sanitizer because I don't like how it makes my skin dry. But I do wash my hands regularly, and like after I'm very conscious.
I don't, and I lick the public toilets.
I'm very conscious. Like whenever I would meet people, like if they handed me a pen or if I shook anyone's hand, which is pretty much the whole damn time, I would not touch my face or anything until I had washed my hands again. So that's one of the things I'm very conscious about, and so maybe that's why. I don't know.
It could be. I guess I don't know. You were also the person who will touch your baby, right?
Who what?
You wouldn't let the old people touch your baby?
Well, I wouldn't. I mean, I had read that lots of cases of herpes gets shared by old people kissing your babies, and so I would not let. No one was ever allowed to kiss my daughter. Basically, and my ex-wife was the same way. She treated everyone the same way as well. Like, there's no telling how many people have mouth herpes, and so no one's allowed to kiss the child. They can hold it, but they can't kiss it.
Okay, I thought for some reason they wouldn't even let people hold it.
No. She got held. She just didn't get kissed. And
Gotcha,
we were we weren't embarrassed to tell people don't kiss her.
Yeah, it's really funny for me because even the newest one is 12 days old now at this point, 11 days old, something like that. And somebody came over the other day and they're holding it. And she was like, "Oh no, I didn't wash my hands," and she like gave real quick and went and like washed her hands. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess there's a weird thing that you're supposed to like wash your hands when babies are this young, huh?" Like it's things I don't even think about because after this initial like month or whatever, when they start to build up their own immune system a little bit, you want your babies exposed to, not like you don't want to like dunk them in the toilet or something like that, but you want them exposed to germs to build up an immunity to things. But so we definitely are not the sticklers who want somebody to like wash their hands before they touch the baby. But I did forget that young babies are supposed to. I guess
Crystal was always kind of like the kind of person that you can't leave the house 5 minutes with like Christmas lights on because the entire house will definitely burn down and that type of stuff.
Oh, so you never did your dryer to dry your clothes?
Oh no. Now, man, fuck it. If I come home, my house is burned down. I guess she was right. But man, like during Christmas this year, I didn't turn my Christmas lights off ever. And some of the times I'd look at it when I'd leave the house, and be like, "That's right. Fuck you. My lights are on, bitch."
I mean, I guess that her mentality might not be the bad one to have instilled in you from when you were a kid, because back then when she was a kid, there was different, like there were incandescent bulbs on these dry trees and all that
exactly.
stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
But times have changed.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens with the we already had the baby too. We're supposed to set up there's baby bar crawls. Is what they called them during the last time when Jack was young. Now that the new baby, there's just these baby happy hours that we have found that people are setting up in our area, that we're supposed to set up this next one because we took the newest one to this baby happy hour last Friday. It was the youngest one by far at 8 days old. Happy hour.
I've never heard of such a thing. That is wild.
It is. So when Jack was young, I thought it was inappropriate because I was like, not that I'm afraid. I didn't think that babies that young were supposed to be like out of the house because I thought they were too like susceptible to things. And granted, I'm not a big stickler on you have to wash your hands, but I didn't think you were supposed to bring them in like crowded places.
Right.
And I guess I've realized that that's not necessarily true. I just didn't know enough about babies at that point. A lot of the reason you don't take babies out when they're that young is a lot of moms aren't ready to go out of the house yet.
Makes
that young.
sense.
They're either still like trying to get their way back from labor, or let alone a C-section. You're supposed to be laid out for even longer. My wife's had 2 of them, and she's just like, she had Jack at a rally, I think, on like when he was 5 days old.
I remember that. I was like, that's insane.
I thought that was pretty insane as well. But then when we went to the first baby happy hour,
I'm in bed, by the way. I don't know if you are even heading this way.
I'm on the way back now. We went to the first baby happy hour. It was I ended up having us leave early because, for one, Jack was also a very difficult baby. He would wake up and cry and fuss and fuss and fuss. He was much more. This baby's a lot more chill than Jack was back then. So I was worried he was going to get up and start screaming as well. But now, like, we went out on Friday and met a bunch of people, met a bunch of cool people that have new babies and all that stuff around. So, and it was a dad's group that had actually started this one. So there's a bunch of dads like out there as well, which is great to meet because I don't have that many like dude friends around, especially now that I have babies. It's a lot harder to have dude friends around.
Someone wants to know if you had to take an NPA in civilian EMT school. I don't know what those letters and words mean, but there you go.
I did have to take one? No, they did not make us. So an NPA is a nasopharyngeal airway, and there's NPAs and OPAs that you put in people for their airway adjuncts, they're called. The NPA goes in the nose. And you can put those in conscious people. And I think what he's referring to is there's videos out there of people who in their EMT classes take the NPAs themselves. No, I've never had to do that. I would never want to do that. It would be the most uncomfortable thing in the world. And anybody who does that, man, more power to them for trying it out. But hell no.
Where does it go?
In your nose.
Why is it painful?
I mean, it goes. It's about 4 inches long.
Okay.
4.5 inches long. It goes in your nose and curves and opens up in the back of the throat. And it's for if you have trouble keeping your airway open, but you're still conscious or still have a gag reflex. You can't put one in the mouth that holds the tongue out of the way and opens up the airway. You put it in the nose, and it's not supposed to trigger the gag reflex, but it goes in the back of the throat, and it still like pulls the tongue forward, makes an airway down to your lungs, essentially. So it still is. Man, I've watched people when you put in because I've put in NG tubes in people. It is one of the most uncomfortable things I ever have to do to somebody in the hospital, because there are these fully awake people that I'm shoving this thing in their nose that's going down into their stomach, and they gag, they cry, their eyes water the entire time. You have to really prepare them what is about to happen to them.
I'm about to fuck you up.
No, pretty much. And luckily I learned from this tech who was very back when they used to let techs put in the NP or the NG tubes at my hospital. He walked in the room, I was just out of nursing school, and he explained it so well to this person. He straight up told him, he's like, I'm going to put this in your nose. It's like, it's not going to be comfortable. Right when it hits the back of your nose and starts to break down your throat, he's like, your eyes are going to instantly water. You're going to want to cough. I need you to work with me. And he talked to him through all of this stuff. And then at the end, when he actually started doing it and everything happened exactly like he described, the guy coughed, the guy gagged, but the guy got it down and took some sips of water and it helped it go down. And afterwards, he literally looked at him and goes, the only reason I got through that was because you told me exactly what was about to happen, so I was prepared for it. Otherwise, I would never have been able to handle that. And I was like, damn, I'm glad I just learned from this guy, because I just learned from the best. But yeah, to hear him say it and to watch it happen that exact way and have the guy say that, I was like, yep, this must be one of those super freaking uncomfortable things.
Hopefully I just die without ever having to be in a hospital for a long time.
Or you all unconscious for this day, the duration. If I'm ever sick, knock me out, wake me up when I'm better. one of those things.
Wake me up when I'm better, please.
Yeah, I can't imagine being in a hospital for a long period of time. I was just there as not a patient for 4 days, and I was going fucking insane.
Yeah.
You put me in a bed and try to tell me that I can't move, and I have to, get stuck with needles every single day, have that shitty hospital food, let alone getting a catheter or having an NG tube stuck down my throat. Oh,
so did Julia know?
That, man.
Did she remember the stay at the hospital? Because Crystal didn't. She didn't remember shit about what happened there. Basically.
Oh, I mean, yeah, there was no drugs involved except for the epidural.
Really? Afterwards, she didn't take any kind of pain medicine or anything?
Oh, so she took the epidural. She took afterwards. She took ibuprofen. I think she took 1 Percocet. She doesn't like to do narcotics and things like that. So she took very little. But nothing that would have. She was not under general anesthesia for anything, so she was completely awake and coherent the entire time. The only mind altering drug she had was 1 Percocet. Everything else was what she was on. Tylenol.
I know they prescribed her Percocet afterwards, so maybe she was on Percocet. I don't know. I remember telling her about everything that happened, and she just doesn't remember it. And I got video and stuff, and whenever we watched it, she'd be like, "I don't remember any of this shit."
Did you guys have? Because you guys had a long birth that ended in a C-section, if I recall.
Right, because she wanted to do a normal birth, and she never dilated hardly at all. I think she got to
so that's that's exactly what just happened. Yeah, that's pretty much just what happened to Julia. That's why we were in 40-hour labor before they did the C-section.
See, ours wasn't that long, and I think the reason why is her doctor had a planned vacation, so he had places to be, and I think that's why he rushed the C-section a little bit, because I remember him saying well, I have to leave at this time, so we're gonna have to do it by this time or whatever. I think that's why, because we weren't. I think she was only in labor 8 hours.
But did she get an epidural?
No.
So she might have gone under general, and that's what they told. They told my wife that if she didn't take the epidural by a certain point, and they decided that they needed to do an emergency section, and granted, ours, the one that we had to do wasn't. But once they break the fluids and all, you're on a time frame of kind of how long is it?
Yeah, I think that happened too, because her water broke before all this, so maybe that's the other time frame period.
Yeah, and then if the baby starts to be in distress at all, they'll do an emergency section. And if you don't have an epidural in, they have to put you under general. And that's one of the reasons that my wife finally
I remember she was conscious during all of it. Would you be unconscious?
So she must have had. Yeah, no. Under general, you'd be unconscious.
Yeah, no, she was awake the whole time.
So she must have had an epidural or a spinal or something then. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe she just, for one, she could have been traumatic experience that she blocked out. She could have also just been maybe really affected by Percocets if that's what she took.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. I had like Minecon to go to like, I think it was like 10 days after the birth, something like that. So that was pretty, it was a hard decision whether or not I was actually going to go to Minecon or not.
Was it Minecon London?
No, it was the very first one in Vegas, yeah.
Oh, no, the Vegas one. That was Vegas one. You're right.
I remember she finally convinced me. She's like, well, you should just go. Like her mom came up. But it was weird.
You're like, sweet. God, my wife would, she would have been like, if you go, you're coming back to none of us.
It was at that point where it wasn't clear if this was going to be a viable career or not.
It wasn't clear if it was mine or not.
God, no. Isn't it weird how babies come out and they look almost exactly like the dad, even if they're girls?
I disagree with you completely.
Oh, my God.
I don't think babies
my
look
daughter
like anybody.
Looked exactly.
Everybody says that both of my kids looked identical to me. But then every other person that walked in the room would be like, that baby looks just like dad. The next person's like, that baby looks just like mom. And I'm like, this baby looks like no fucking buddy. It's a baby that does not resemble an adult in any way right now.
I disagree. Well, I mean, I don't know what happened in your case, but in my case, it was very clear that was a sad-looking little girl because she looked too much like me.
You said you think you have an ugly baby.
I mean, yeah, it looked like me. Poor
sad-looking little girl because she looked too much like me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit.
But yeah. I think most babies are fucking horrible looking, honestly. All these people
I think
are
for
like,
the most part,
cute
babies
little
are ugly as well.
Yeah.
It was funny. I went to a music class at Jackson. He's in too many classes, but there was this one kid, and it was just so funny the way he was there. All these kids are sitting around in circles and singing songs and playing with instruments, and getting up and running around because they're 2-year-old and less kids. There was this one kid who was probably like just less than a year old, and he was just standing there. I don't know why. The whole time he just stood there, and he had his hands in his pocket, and he did both his pockets, and he just like looked around like he was like the chaperone on the playground type of deal. Just standing there like looking, and I was like, that kid looks like a little pimp, man. That guy's awesome.
Oh, that's funny. Well, with that comment, I think we are done here, everybody. Be sure to check it out on iTunes if you haven't. At the
check it out on
URL in the world.
Rate us in all the ways that you can to get our popularity up. We want to be the #1 podcast that was never intended to be a podcast. Called Guano.
Called Guano. All right. Well, thanks for watching.
And make us art too, because my art sucks.
Yeah. Make us art too. You'll get lots of exposure from it.
Yeah, a lot of exposure. Yep. Yeah, we won't pay you except in exposure, which should be worth its weight in gold.
For the #1 podcast.
And the weight of a file is not that heavy, just so you know. So,
all right. Bye, everyone.
See ya.